in Test cricket has been pretty good. I know he did lose some form, and then he played a few games for Barbados this year. But the panel, we wanted to go for an off spinner, and I think that is what really tipped the balance in Ralston's favor. So not only that he would assist us in case in the batting department, if also he would be a very good all-rounder in the sense that he can bowl or spin for us as well, would he?
Thanks. All right. Follow-up questions coming. Hands raised from Joel Bailey and Machelle Hewitt. So please state your name and your media house on coming in. Thanks.
Hi, good day. Joel Bailey from New York speaking. You hear me?
Yes.
Hi, good day. Hope all is well. Yes, I will also add about the Ruston Chase, ask about the Ruston Chase situation. You mentioned about the fact that you were trying to highlight the fact that he's the best off spinner we have now. What happened is that against the Bangladesh A, Brian Charles was used and Rocking for what have been used recently. So are we saying now that Ruston Chase now is being picked primarily as a bowler? I mean, I know Woody Richard may have asked something along that line, but are you telling us that Ruston Chase now is specifically a bowler, a bowling all-rounder, or you still consider that a batting all-rounder? Thanks a lot.
Yeah, well, as I mentioned before, I did mention the fact that with his batting in Test cricket, so I would still consider Ralston as a batting all-rounder. But I think that at the time of selection, we were looking for somebody who can bowl some off breaks as well for us, and also would be also a backup in the batting lineup in the middle order for us. So Ralston got the nod.
Thanks, Joel. Machelle Hewitt.
Hi, Machelle Hewitt, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. This is for Jimmy more so than Desmond. Jimmy, with regards to Phil, obviously Phil has handed in his resignation and will work Australia as his last commitment for Cricket West Indies. Was there any scope to try and convince Phil to stay on as the Test coach alone, given the success the team has had in red ball cricket?
Not really, Machelle, just based on the interaction that we had, which started with Phil's indication to us, initially verbally, and then a little while after, formally in a letter that he had given, even that situation that you had discussed, he had given it due consideration and discussed it with people at his end, and he was very clear in his mind that he was stepping away once we got to the end of or he would like to step away once we got to the end of the Australia series. So it is something that he did consider. He would have known, as we all do, that the role in some countries is a split role, but he did indicate that after considering it, that the decision that he gave he sent to us was his final decision.
Thank you for the clarity, much appreciated.
No problem.
Thank you. And we have another raised hand. Woody has a second question. Woody, please go ahead.
Yeah, and just to follow up on that, Jimmy, obviously, when do you all perceive that you will start looking for a replacement coach? And as well, what is the preferred option? We know that, as you said, that countries have determined that they want to split roles. So are you looking for 1, 2, or 3 coaches?
Those discussions, Adriel, are actually ongoing. Well, they've already started. There are 2 issues to look at. One is obviously how do we, given the schedule that we have, which is Test cricket in Zimbabwe and South Africa starting from the end of January right through until I think the white ball games against South Africa would go into March, April, is do we first of all split the roles and then how long are we going to give ourselves the time in which to recruit? And by that I mean, is it that we are going to do an interim situation maybe up until the end of South Africa, or do we actually start recruiting right away? So these are the decisions that are before us now. and I'm hoping by the end of this week coming that we will have some firm decisions to sort of guide the way forward. So that just in answer to your question specifically, that question is under consideration, but also I am saying that what is also under consideration is that do we go immediately now into recruiting a full-time coach or coaches over the long term, or do we give ourselves enough time and do an interim placement until the end of South Africa? So these are all the questions being considered right now as we speak.
Thank you. We have one other from Brandon, and if no other persons have any questions, we will end.
Well, Phil, sorry, Phil, I was muted. I just want to ask the selector one quick question. You keep stressing that you all wanted to pick an off spinner for this tour. Is there any specific reason that you wanted to pick an off spinner precisely for this tour?
Yeah, yes, well, Adriel, when the panel got together, we were looking at Australia, and we came up with a decision that, it would be better to go with an off spinner against Australia in Australia. And that's the whole reason why we went for the off spinner. It was a decision that we had some nice conversations, I would say, regarding of what type of spinner we should get, or spinner or not. But we came up with the decision to go with an off spin against Australia.
So more so from a tactical perspective than anything else.
Correct, yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks as well, Woody. Final one from Brandon, and we'll end it there for today.
Hi, lead selector again. Tajan Channel Paul, you said in the release that he has what it takes to open the batting. I mean, Australia, very tough conditions, and what sort of role, other than just seeing off the new ball, he's expected to play? We know Craig is more of a see off the new ball kind of batsman as well. He can bat all day, and Tajan Ryan is the same thing. Do you think these guys complement each other?
Yes, I believe so. I think what you got to take into consideration too is that with Tej, a young man, he got a very good technique to the new ball, which is good. He leave alone very well. So, when you go to places like Australia, you obviously, you don't want to see the number 3 batsman coming in too early, or the number 4, So I think that he would, he and Craig would definitely complement each other, because at least they would be looking at what I believe openers should do for a team as well, is build a foundation for the side so that the guys coming in down the order, we're not going to get the new ball, So I think it's a good choice of picking the young man. No better place to start your cricket career than Australia, whereas I feel that, that's where a lot of people believe that if you do well against Australia, then you are rated. So it's always been considered to be a tough place to play cricket, and I think that he has the ability to do it, and I want to wish him all the best.
All right, lead selector, thank you.
Okay,
No problem.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks, Dr. Hanes and Mr. Adams, for your time today. And members of the media, we appreciate your questions as well. Just a reminder that the CG United Super 50 continues tomorrow, and we'll be having matches daily up until the conclusion. The West Indies Test Tour of Australia is November. The team arrives on the 10th, and if the test matches go until the 12th of December. You can feel free to send me any questions, email, WhatsApp. I'll be happy to respond to them, and appreciate your continued coverage of West Indies cricket. Thanks again. Have a good day, everyone, and stay safe.